All right. Well, welcome everybody. Proud of you guys for being on this call tonight, and really proud of you guys because y'all really did an amazing job in November. And I see Karen's joining us as well. Welcome, Karen. Just November, December are typically really tough months, really in any selling cycle. And so the fact that we had several people qualify for Cancun. And I wanted just to shout out Susan, you and Judy. We also had the Todds, the painters, Debbie Yost. So we have quite a few people from our team that will be warming up instead of icing over in February, which we're super excited about that. In addition, I wanted Susan and Judy to tell us a little bit about hosting Luis and just thank you guys for serving the team with Luis this weekend. How did it
Yeah,
go?
Karen was there too.
Karen, thank you for showing up, man.
Yeah, it was
So,
really great. I mean, Carrie hosted it, and so that was, that makes it easy. You're going to somebody else's house and they've had to
right.
do all the work. And typical Carrie, I kept saying, "Hey, is there anything I can do? I can do." No, no, no big deal. But it was neat. I mean, it's like Judy ended up having a couple of guests there. I had one guest there. Um, I think Carrie had a couple of guests, and then actually you had a guest there, kind of,
Yeah.
and so, it was a nice sized crowd. It wasn't, 30 people, but it was a big enough group that, you felt like it wasn't just Louise talking to the two or three of you, like that. And so it was really good. Carrie did a great presentation. Um, and then, we all kind of like filled in with some stories along the way. And so it was really neat. It was good. It was real
That's awesome.
comfortable. Yeah.
Anything else, Judy, that you want to add?
Well, when Carrie got through, and like I said, like Susie said, she did a great presentation. Then Luis did his part, and he really showed his heart for
Mhm.
the people, for the job, for the company, for everything. And the gals that I went with came away telling me that they could tell that this was a sincere group, that it was, that they cared about each other, that they cared about what they were doing, and it was said it's just the kind of group that they wanted to be a part of. Both of them are in kind of a financial corner right now, but they said they definitely wanted to we're looking into how to become a part of it. So I've, hopes for the future.
That's fantastic. So, Judy, you had one or two guests?
Two.
Two guests.
Yeah.
Wow. How did
Yeah.
you do it? How did you invite?
Okay. Well, one of them, Susie, gave me her name and said, I contacted her a long time ago and got crickets. Do what you can with her. So I contacted her and called her and said, Hey, I'm doing this business. Oh, yeah. Okay, fine. I mean, that was it. Just, where do you want me to win? I thought, okay, that was easy. And I was at the senior center selling my bread and other stuff. When the second gal came in, and she worked at the restaurant earlier. I had worked at a restaurant, and I hadn't seen her for a while. And I said something to her about, been missing you. And she said, oh, and she told me why she quit. And she said, and right now I'm looking for a business. I said, oh, I'm going this afternoon to see a business opportunity presentation. You want to go? Okay, yeah. Just two totally cold, never talked to him before. It just doesn't happen that way. But
It's amazing though, Judy. You might say that, but you kind of been living that way for a while. What do you think switch? What's changed?
I think part of the switch is me. I'm more positive. I've had some success, so I feel successful. I just, it just and part of it is, honestly, this business is something that I started about I was a customer only for several years, and about 2 years ago, I made it a prayer request, and I said, "Okay, Lord, if you want me to do something with this, show me. You lead the way." And I feel like a lot of it is just being led. Happen to stumble into the right spot at the right time, and I'm I think I am getting a little more bold about talking to people, so that doesn't hurt anything. But yeah, it's just And Susie and you are mentoring me to tell me what to do and pushing me to do more. And
Well,
it's all coming together.
the way I understand it, you're pushing Susie to do more.
And I don't think so.
Well, I tell you what, it has been a delight, and everybody on this call. Hey, Jennifer DeMay, she just joined us. Thank you for jumping on. Um, it has been a delight, Judy, to see kind of, I don't know, 6 months ago, the conversation that we had, because, Judy is in a small town in Illinois, and she's just like, other than the senior center here, like I don't have a huge pool of eligibles that are really seeking wellness. And I'm like, Judy, you need to go online. And I'm like, go make videos. And then you harassed Susan Everett and made her come be the director of your video. And honestly, Judy, I mean, like that is really where things started to change for you because Debbie saw one of your videos and then she saw that you earned this cruise. And then she's like, oh my gosh, maybe she's making money now. And as Debbie's been a huge addition to the team and you helped her earn Cancun. So congratulations to you on that and to Debbie, who would have been on, but her father's sick right now. So it's just what's beautiful is just to see how that energy affects the team. And, it's thank you for just really paying it forward
Thank you.
and dragging Susan with you.
We'll talk about who drags who.
Yeah, exactly. And Susan, how fun is it to have some fire a few levels below?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's kind of cool because it's volume that you're getting and not doing anything to do it, to get it, so that's really pretty cool. Hey, can I ask Karen a question? Because I didn't get a
Yeah,
chance to ask
Karen's
her.
next.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Because I was wanting to ask her how she felt because, it's so different now. The whole atmosphere, being at a presentation like that is so different, especially with Luis there than it was in the old days. So I was just
Yeah.
curious. I didn't get a chance to talk to Karen afterwards. I was busy trying to talk to my prospect and stuff.
That's good. Karen,
Yes.
tell us your take on it.
I think Carrie did a great job on her presentation, and it was a good group.
And Karen, what's fun is, and Debbie Ray, hey Debbie, knows this, but Jennifer doesn't. Tell us just why you jumped into Zilis in 2018 in Evansville, Indiana.
I was suffering from neuropathy in my feet, and Jack Brown invited us into that hotel meeting, and he was pretty well into his recliner. He thought he had a lot of shoulder pain and stuff, and after the two sample bottles we got each other for Valentine's gifts, we joined up, and it's helped a bunch.
And Karen literally has really been on the ground floor in Evansville, Indiana. So Jennifer, that's where I was living when I was introduced to Zilis the first time. And from there, we were able to expand to Louisville and then Nashville, where I met Debbie Ray. And really, Debbie, your team brought in a lot of people, including the Todds, now who are in Pensacola. And so, what I got to see is how this platform can work when done well. And now we're really in a better position because we have the best of the old and a lot of the new. And so, Karen, thank you for sticking with this company through all the changes and now getting to enjoy kind of the second generation, if you will. And on that note, um, I wanted to ask anybody that would be willing to share if they were happy with their customer growth bonus this past month.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us, Judy, what were you happy about?
Oh, $500 between the growth bonus and a few extra little bonuses. Yeah, that was cute. That was nice. Merry
That can buy a
Christmas.
few loaves of bread. Just
Say,
saying.
say what?
It can buy a few loaves of bread.
Maybe.
And then Susan, were you pleased with yours?
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
And it was
I
your
was
second month or third month to get
third.
third
It was
month
my
to get
third
how
month.
much, Susan?
$1,000. Yeah, I was
How'd
really
you,
thrilled because I didn't think I was going to make it this month because I'd had somebody drop off and somebody said they were coming back and they didn't. And matter of fact, was really lucky that I just happened to, I kind of it's not the easiest thing in the world to track. You have to kind of be, matter of fact, if I hadn't had one of my customers had his login and password and I went into his account and figured out what had gone wrong, I would not have hit it this month. And boy, I would have really been pissed to miss it by one person. And all because he had a mistake. He had his credit card got hacked. And so he had to switch
gotcha.
credit cards and he missed his auto ship. And so, and I just happened to catch that. And it's not, like I say, it's not easy to do, but I was watching it pretty closely that last week.
So how did you generate the 1,000?
How did I generate the 1,000? That
Yeah,
was,
like how did you get that?
I have 15 people. And this time I think they were all, last month I had some people that just bought product. Well, I had two people that just bought product. And then I think everybody else, the other 13 were all auto ship of people that are just customers. I mean, I have a lot of
Gotcha.
other people that really technically are just customers, but for some reason along the way they upgraded, because they wanted to buy a bunch or whatever. But anyway, these people are just customers. So I had 15 of them.
Well, congratulations to you on that. And what I love is seeing people who have really been consistent, like you, Susan. You've done a lot of
Mhm.
professional networking. You're helping mentor Judy and all that she's doing, and to see you guys start really generating some income is really gratifying. And then once you've been able to generate a $500 check or a $1,000 check, or in our case, we're generating $2,000 additional bonus from 25 customers, you can teach someone else how to do that. And that is really
Mhm.
where the expansion becomes possible from a business standpoint. And so I love this customer growth bonus. I think it's really given a lot of new life
Yeah.
in our compensation plan. It's a much easier way to kind of share with people. And so I want to recognize, Susan, kind of while we're talking to you, you're doing something really innovative as
Ah,
a kind of way to generate new volume. Can you share with us what that is?
you talking about the partnership with, okay, yeah. I thought this was really cool. Um, in one of my networking groups, there's a lady that sells cabbie clothing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but it's a line of clothing that you buy, just like you would be buying it from us. She has to buy her volume of clothes and then she sells them. And so it's a kind of door-to-door salesman version of clothing. And she's in one of my networking groups, and it was just so happened one of the days I had bought a pair of pants from her, and I bought them like I think before I lost some weight with Be Fit, and it was just enough that it made me need really they were too big, and I was kind of bitching about it. And I said, "Dang, I just bought these pants and they're too big. They feel sloppy." And I was kind of complaining about it. And all of a sudden, it was just like ding, 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 ding. It was like, "Hey, we ought to partner together and do like a contest like what Zilis is doing." And I said, if you can get your friends and your customers to that want to lose weight, well, then they're going to have to buy more clothes because their clothes are going to be too big. And I mean, she lit up too. She was excited about it. And I think she really appreciated that somebody was wanting to work with her on a project too. She's really struggling to get her business, off the ground. And I mean, she does business, but yet she's could always do better. And so I think it's really fun. So we posted, yesterday. We finally got kind of trying to mimic off of what Zilis has been doing, do a 90-day contest. We're going to try to do some coaching along the way, not nearly to the level that you've done, with that program. But so I don't know. I just thought it just kind of came to me and offered it to her and man, she lit up. It's really cool. So we'll see. We don't know
Well,
if we'll have anybody or if we'll have 100 people. We don't know.
well, what I loved about it this season is just, the innovation and not saying, oh, I don't know how to do this, or, I'm not getting any sales. Like you're out there creating partnerships with people who might have a similar end user. And
Right.
so I just thought that was really innovative, and I thought your flyer looked great.
Thank
Um,
you.
And so, yeah, you're on your way to 25 customers now.
That's right.
And, and it might be that she comes in with a business kit and you can help her have some customers, as well. I'm not sure how you guys have structured that, but either way, it's good.
Yeah. Cool.
So,
Yep.
yeah, I'm
I'm
really
excited
proud of
about it.
you on that. And one of the things that I'm working on, I mentioned on my live, is I'm I was like, I've got so many people that I come in contact with, and I was trying to think of a Christmas gift that I could give them on a small scale. And so I ended up ordering these little gold bags from Amazon. I kind of measured my amalaki because I want to do an edge and an amalaki. And I had AI help me generate a little 4x6 card to put in it, and with my website, and so those are kind of some of the things that I'm going to kind of lead with over Christmas to kind of give prospects and put in goodie bags and things like that. Anybody else have some thoughts about kind of how they're trying to sample or how they're looking to get new volume? Judy, don't tell me you're going to give bread away, and
Well, if I
I'm
can get
signing up
people
for that.
fattened up, then they need to
There you
be
go.
fit to get down. I have put it out on different times, and I've talked to people first, person to person, and I've put it out on social media a couple of times about, get some friends together and let's do a contest, and I would be willing to give prizes. And so far, I'm hearing nothing back from it. But maybe after the first of the year and
Yep.
the New Year's resolutions hit, maybe people will take on then.
Yeah. Well, and that's where, we're things are always changing and we're always learning. And I think that's part of a growth mindset is that we've already mentioned that Zilis is a completely different company than it was when we started. Karen and I started this, back in the day. And not only that, but the whole art of moving products into the marketplace, otherwise known as selling, has also changed. And so one of the things that I try to do as much reading as I can, because my background is I'm an ICU nurse. I came from a medical family. We didn't have to sell anything. I mean, like people come to you, sometimes not in great shape, but we didn't have to go generate demand for a product and learn how to, go through really the mechanics of selling. And so I came across something that I wanted to share with you guys. And you might want to grab something to write with because I think that there's some really takeaways in this. It's called To Sell is Human, and it's a book by Daniel Pink. It says the surprising truth about moving others. So they refer to this as moving others. How many of us have heard it? I'm just not a good salesman. Has anybody heard that when you talk to them about like Debbie's like raising her hand as if somebody's raising two hands? To me, that is the biggest wimpy thing that you can say. And what I loved about this book is because he's basically says, look, everyone's in sales. Like you can say, I'm not a good salesman, but most of what we think we understand about selling is constructed atop a foundation of assumptions that have crumbled. So he said, selling, I've grown to understand, is more urgent, more important, and in its own sweet way, more beautiful than we realize. The ability to move others to exchange what they have for what we have is crucial to our survival and our happiness. It has helped our species evolve, lifted our living standards, and enhanced our daily lives. The capacity to sell isn't some unnatural adaptation to the merciless world of commerce. It is part of who we are. And as you're about to see, it's fundamentally human. And so that was kind of one of the quotes that really grabbed me. But here's some stats that I want you to know about. So next time you hear that, basically excuse that I'm not a salesperson, people are now spending 40% of their time at work engaged in non-sales selling, persuading, influencing, convincing others in ways that don't involve anyone making a purchase. Across a range of professions, we're devoting roughly 24 minutes of every hour to moving others. And so this is crucial to our professional success. Looks like somebody just joined us. Hang on just one second
Yeah, it's
here.
me.
Oh, it's Judy. She's joining us again.
Yeah.
So all of that to say, this is something 40%, even people who are not in the sales functions, 40% of the day is spent in these persuading, influencing roles. And that's really what we're doing. And so my point is we need to be good at it and we need to be aware of what we're doing. And so they're talking about kind of the new ABCs of selling. And the old ABC was always be closing people, which is basically pursuing people as prey, and you're pushing the transaction to a conclusion. And it's kind of high pressure. You're getting the person across the table and you're trying to get them to sign on the line. And if I could be completely candid, that was the old Zilis with Stephen Thompson. That's kind of what Karen and I were really introduced to back in the day. And it was very, very high pressure, close at gold. And it's changed now. So there's a new roadmap, if you will. And there's a new ABC, and that's what I wanted to share with you guys. So it's just ABCs of selling. And but I thought this was really interesting. So the A stands for attunement, ATTUNE, ment, MENT. And then the B stands for buoyancy, and the C stands for clarity. So we're going to come back to that, but I want your thoughts on whether you can relate to this or not. But before we do that, with your dominant hand, snap your fingers 5 times as quickly as you can right now. And then again,
Lisa, that's a
yeah,
genetic trait, and mine doesn't work.
your fingers.
It's a
Okay,
genetic trait, and I do not have that genetic trait.
it's okay because the second part of this you can do. So if you can't snap your fingers 5 times, as quickly as you can, use the forefinger of your dominant hand to draw a capital E on your forehead. Go ahead and do that now. I'm going to wait for you. Good, good. All right.
Lost track.
Everybody got their E on their forehead, right? Okay, so here's the deal. How you drew that E tells a lot about you. Did you do it so you could read it, or did you do it so that somebody looking at you could read it?
So someone else could read it.
So somebody else could read it? Anybody else have a different perspective on that? Did you all do the E so other people could read it? Judy, I can't hear you.
I did, yes.
Okay, Susan did. And you don't have to tell me, but I'm going to tell you this is called the E test. And it is a measure of perspective taking. So our ability to take someone else's perspective is a huge part of being able to get an A in attunement. Attunement is the ability to bring one's actions and outlook into harmony with other people and with the context that you're in. So that's the definition of attunement. And there were kind of 3 components of that. One of them is basically if you're feeling a bit too almighty, you're going to have a hard time connecting with others. So practice humility in order to really relate to people. And I've had this happen a little bit initially early on with our team. We started working with some doctors, and there's a very imbalanced power dynamic with doctors where they can really influence people to make decisions that they don't really commit to. And so, there's been times that I'm working closely with people who kind of have an arrogant attitude. And that is one of the things they say you have to reduce, you have to become humble in order to influence people. Empathy is a very important aspect of humanity. And so perspective taking is the more effective way to basically be able to win customers and generate volume. And ultimately, it's more beneficial to get inside your customers' heads than to have them inside your own heart, if that makes sense. So when you're negotiating or otherwise selling someone on an idea, try to imagine what the other person is thinking. And then the other thing is called mirroring. When you're actually working with somebody and you're in front of somebody, not in a negative way, but in a loose, positive way, to mirror their behavior, to mirror their language, and to mirror how they behave. Their movements, by mimicking that, is another strategy to actually help increase rapport with people. And these are all part of attunement. The last component of this is, have you ever heard of an ambivert? Which we have extroverts and we have introverts. But an ambivert is somebody who is part introvert and part extrovert. And according to this book, ambiverts who are a little bit of both are by far the best salespeople. They're not too pushy like some extroverts can be, and not too reserved like some introverts can be. And so they kind of have the Goldilocks of being able to connect with people. So those are all under the topic of attunement. Does that make sense at all? How many of you guys feel like you're doing well with attunement, that you can relate to people, that you can actually see their perspective, that you can maybe get inside their head and think how they're thinking?
I think I do it too well sometimes, and it's inhibiting.
Okay, so too well. Susan, what were you saying? I think you're muted there, Susan.
I think it's something that I've worked on and improved, because a lot of it is making myself shut up and, and not just puke the science on people, that type of thing. So
That's a really good, it's a good perspective, and it's honest, really transparent. And I also have had to really, really dial that back. So it's a good perspective. Anybody else want to comment on attunement? Grade yourself. What was that, Debbie? You're muted, girl.
I try not, I think I'm pretty good at, perspective on people. I try not to think too much that way because I don't want to assume they don't want to do something.
Mm.
That's the one thing I got to work on, but I'm pretty good about feeling out people. I can tell by their facial expressions. Because
Good.
unfortunately, my emotions and I show it in my face. I don't have to say anything. But
Yeah.
I'm also like Susan, why I try not to puke on people and go overboard. I did in the beginning, probably because I was excited about
Yeah.
teaching people about science. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So attunement. So I think we're doing well with that. So B is something that I thought I couldn't predict what buoyancy meant. Anybody want to take a stab at what's buoyancy?
Being flexible, maybe.
Well, that's a great call out. What it really means, anyone who sells, whether they're trying to convince customers to make a purchase or somebody to make a change, must contend with wave after wave of rebuffs, refusals, and repudiations. Has anybody ever experienced that before? The harder that you work, sometimes the more of that you take. So, how to stay afloat amid the ocean of rejection is buoyancy. So, how do you survive the disappointment, basically? How do you survive the disappointment at the end of the month when you had a goal that you were really shooting for and it doesn't materialize? But there are three different components of buoyancy, before the pitch, if you will, during and after. But it's interesting, self-talk. Jenny Todd is at a Christmas function, but self-talk is a really, really important part of this piece. How we talk to ourselves, keeping the positivity ratio super, super high, but not unrealistically high, if that makes sense. And they talk about a ratio between two competing poles, levity and gravity. Levity is that unseen force that lifts you up, whereas gravity is the opposing force that pulls you down. And unchecked levity leaves you flighty, ungrounded, and unreal. And then unchecked gravity leaves you collapsed in a heap of misery. Which, have you met people that can reflect either one of those? So when you combine them properly, these two opposing forces leave you buoyant. And they talk about the actual ratio is 3-to-1 of positive to negative, or levity versus gravity. And that's just kind of interesting. So you don't want to be completely like off the charts, like not realistic, but you also don't want to be really on the low end of that. So optimists outperform pessimists hands down in this industry. And so developing a positive mindset with some grounding is what their recommendation is. And then how do we feel like we're doing on buoyancy? Like, how do you feel at the end of a month when maybe you didn't hit your goal?
It gets frustrating.
It gets frustrating. So how do you lift yourself out of that?
Well, kind of listening to Bo. He just says,
Mm,
just if they're not completely no, call them back in a month or two. Maybe they're just not ready, or just not ready to listen, and you go from there. It still can be frustrating, especially when you're trying to hit a goal and people just don't continue on it when you know it's going to help them, but they just give up on it too soon. So
yeah.
yeah, it's frustrating. But I just go to the next. I just go on.
Next.
Just
Anybody
know.
else have a strategy for staying buoyant?
I guess you can't count alcohol or caffeine, right?
I'm sure you can.
Not a good idea, though. The happy coffee is good, but you get
I'll
your vibe, you get your R&R
yeah,
night. Those
take
do.
an overdose of cannabinoids, right?
Yeah.
I will tell you that I had a mentor once that said, if this business does not make you cry, you're not working hard enough. And he meant it. And so what I've learned to do is when I'm so frustrated with people or a situation, I dance. Some people think I line dance, just no, it's to work off frustration. And because movement kind of helps me metabolize a lot of the frustration, I found that has been a really healthy way for me to just shift my mindset into a completely different place. So I know Susan has golf, and Debbie, I know you're doing a lot of walking and fitness. I know Jennifer DeMay has her fitness outlet as well. And so having that healthy way to totally take yourself to a different place, and maybe even a different group of people, is really a good idea. So that's just a little recommendation. And then C, so A, attunement, B, buoyancy, C is for clarity. And what they are talking about is what they're calling the 1%, and of not getting lost in the crabgrass of details. Instead, think about the essence of what you're exploring, the 1% that gives life to the other 99. Understanding the 1% and being able to explain it to others is the hallmark of strong minds and good attorneys. So, what's the 1%? If you can answer that question and convey it to others, they're likely to be moved. How much are we saying then? Are we saying too much? We talked about vomiting, and sometimes that makes people run away. So, just a thought about how clear are we in our messaging when we get in front of people? Are we streamlined in our approach? And that's the 1%. The last little piece is what they call servant selling, and I just kind of want to leave you with this. But it begins with the idea that those who move others aren't manipulators, but they're servants. They serve first and they sell later. And the test is this: is the person you're selling to, if they agree to buy, will his or her life improve? When your interaction is over, will the world be a better place than when you began? Our desire is to both improve the world and to provide that world with something it didn't know it was missing. So if the person you're selling agrees to buy, will his or her life improve? And when your interaction is over, will the world be a better place than when you began? if the answer to either one of those questions is no, then we're doing something wrong. And I'm grateful to say that, being on this call with you guys always makes me realize that we've done a lot of really good things and done right things. And, seeing physical changes in people and having positive product experiences, that's a really beautiful thing. I was on the phone tonight with Michelle, who was on this call last time. She's works in a dental office. Some of you guys might remember her. And when her BFit came in, her husband got a hold of it and he started using it. So she had to get another box. And he was, I really feel the difference in this BFit, and that just happened overnight for her. So that person has had a positive product interaction. Um, but when you see the changes, like Judy, watching your change and just your outlook on life, your joy, your courage, your hope, your enthusiasm, your optimism, that's lifted our entire team. And so thank you for just, taking the journey with us, because it's not easy to remain buoyant when we get a lot of rejection. And November and December, typically everyone is distracted. It's not that we don't have a great opportunity for people. It's just that everybody is doing stuff and spending money on other things that may or may not be good for them. So I just wanted to commend you guys on, being a team. I think you guys naturally do these ABCs, the new ABCs, not the old ABCs. And just last thing from my end is Super Saturday training is coming up, and we're in Northwest Arkansas. We're going to be actually having a brunch over at Linda Painter's house. So that's a lot of fun. Jennifer, you're invited to that as well, if you're not working. But it's super fun to get together as a team. But I've found that having events like what Judy and Susan and Karen attended on Saturday is just a beautiful way to be able to share this with other people. And I'm committed in 26 to make that happen as many times as we can, both at Northwest Arkansas, and I'm going to talk to Susan about December schedule as well in Evansville. So my question for you guys is, talking about the ABCs of moving people, what can I do to help you move more people? What do you need from me? Anybody want to share?
You're always available.
I try to be. So good. So there's nothing you need, Debbie?
No, I just need to get more people to listen.
Yeah. And it's something, and that's why I really thought what Susan did was real interesting, because it's almost like, guerrilla warfare. Like, people are so tired of being pitched to, and it's just, people are jaded. And so how do we find opportunities to meet people where they are? And I don't have an answer. I'm trying a million different things, and line dancing is part of it. We've created this whole health collective here, which is really all about finding people who align with those whole health values. And that's where I've gotten most of my customers of late. So identifying where those people are, I think, is really important. But as the team leader, is there anything I can do to assist you guys in where you want to be in 26?
Lisa, Debbie really, I mean, she already hit it on the head. When we have people and we want to get you on the phone with them or whatever, you jump all over it, and you do that. I mean, you do. I mean, so it's awesome, so it's really, I'm having trouble figuring out what I would ask you to do. Unless you could come up with the people for me, I would really appreciate that, but I realize that's our job to do, but
Is that the biggest
you
challenge, though? Is the people, finding more people?
Oh
Yes.
yeah. That's
Okay.
the people that want to talk, and I'm still shocked that, like, if you think back on what Judy said, the two people that she invited like that day or the day before, I mean within just a couple of days, and they said yes. I mean, when does that happen? That never happens. And even the lady that I invited early in the week, she didn't want to talk about it. I see her at work, and she didn't want to talk about it at work, and I wouldn't kind of wasn't getting that. But she said yes, and I just invited her a couple of days before that. So if you had asked me that 2 weeks ago on this call, I would have said, well, yeah, I'm going to go to Carrie's, but I had nobody to take with me. And I'm sure Judy would have said the same thing. So it's just what is so weird in this business is that you never know from minute to minute.
You don't
Yes,
know.
I think last minute is best because if you give
Yeah.
them 2 weeks notice, they'll say, "Oh, something came up," and
But here's what I noticed from my end. How hard is it to create those opportunities? I mean, Susan, how would you feel if Louise said, "Okay, Susan, I'm coming back next week. Where are we going?" There's a lot of responsibility when you organize those meetings.
Yeah.
So gratitude toward Carrie and Louise and you guys for attending. I mean, it takes a lot of people to make those meetings successful. And frankly, I don't have those bodies in Northwest Arkansas. It
Oh,
is
to help.
very tough to fill a room here.
Well, and one thing that I noticed too was like, the last time that Luis and Angie came to town, I spent no time inviting people because I was busy trying to figure out, what we were going to do at the meeting, how it was going to look, where I was going to have it, and all that
Right.
kind of stuff. And even if technically it wouldn't have taken me that much time, that's where my head was. Whereas with this meeting, I'd been showing up, man. So I got plenty of time and energy to just invite anybody I wanted to. So
Well,
it's
that's a good
way,
point. It's a good point to share the responsibility of hosting with other team members and so that we can take a break.
yeah,
But for me in Northwest Arkansas, if I don't say I'm going to do it or Luis, I want you to come, nobody does. And that's
yeah.
just part of the challenge of leading a team,
Mhm.
is that until they're earning a significant check, there's really no financial incentive for that. And so, my motivation is to find the people who really are willing to do the work, but they're wanting to get paid for it, right? And so the customer growth bonus. So all of this conversation to say, yes, we need to do meetings. We need to rotate hosts those meetings to give people a break. But in a place like, the Evansville area is the only place in the country that has leaders that could actually rotate that responsibility. And so you guys are just in a beautiful market. And, Jennifer may or may not know this, but that's where we started. And that's where I'd done the most work before moving to Northwest Arkansas with the pandemic. So it's a little microcosm of what can happen when you get really busy in a specific market. And then Debbie is also an example of the spillover effect because she's in the Nashville area, which was one of the markets that we were working in out of Evansville. And so it's there to happen again. We just have to start the fire. And I'm praying that with a smarter understanding of the ABCs of how do we move people, combined with this new customer growth bonus, combined with Luis, who's willing to travel to Nashville,
Yeah.
to Evansville, to Buffalo. I mean, like, he is really driving this. I just am looking for leaders who are willing to do the work to say, yeah, I'll host. Because when you host, miracles can happen. And we got to see that this past weekend, thanks to you guys who committed to that. So anyway, that's all I had on my end, and so I'm going to pause here and just allow any questions or comments. Anybody want to share anything else that I did not bring up?
Well, I have one question for you
Yes,
did
ma'am.
you get any feedback from Luis?
I have not talked to Luis yet, so I'm sure he usually calls me like right before the 11 o'clock call on Monday. So I'll talk to him tomorrow. But from everything I could hear, I mean, Mark Dens, my guest, raved about it.
Cool.
So I had one guest, and he's a customer on BeFit who I worked with in a previous business. So that was a little bit hard because it was a totally different kind of business. But he said he would go and actually went, and not really knowing anything except BeFit. he was really impressed with how nice people with Susan. Thank you for kind of hosting him. He was really impressed with Luis. Oh, Karen, I don't want to know what Mark said about me. We'll talk about that later. But God bless him. He's a type 2 diabetic. And thank you. And he desperately needs everything we have, but can't afford it all yet. And so anyway, it's funny. I never really dreamed that he would be open to the business because he's an insurance salesman guy. But he goes, insurance is really about death benefits. He goes, this is real life insurance, which I
Wow.
thought, that's a really profound statement,
Yeah.
And so it's another way for us to kind of approach insurance salesmen and say,
Yeah.
so tell me if you're really interested in life insurance. And yes, he's been in Shackley. He's been in New Skin as well, which is the business I was in prior to Zilis. And that's kind of where we worked together a little bit. But he made zero money. And so I think sometimes when you have people who have been in other businesses before that have made zero money, they're skeptical of everything.
Yeah.
So anyway, but thank you, Karen. And y'all, it was so fun to I wish I could have been there with y'all. That would have been so much fun. But I just felt so confident inviting him to go, knowing that he would be so well taken care of. We had such a great team of people. And Debbie, I haven't forgotten about you either. So when you're ready, let's strategize about getting Louise to Nashville.
Well, I'm hoping in January
Okay.
because my friend Lucy, who's not on the call tonight, she must be busy with mom and
Okay.
dad. But she's coming back to Nashville on the 10th.
January 10th?
Yeah, December
Okay.
10th, actually.
Oh, December
Her
10th.
parents are doing better. They're
Okay.
better balanced. She has somebody taking care of them when she's not there. So she has a little more freedom and she's hoping to be home through the holidays and possibly longer, depending on how they do without her. So we just talked about it the other day and I just told her I was excited because she's very like-minded. She's willing to possibly jump into the business. She's waiting until she gets back home. It's just nice to have somebody that seems just as excited and she's a people person. That's that's my feeling of her from the very beginning.
Mm.
And that she likes to help people. And she's, health minded. That's
Yeah.
why she went to her parents to get them off whatever garbage they're on
Yeah.
and get them set. So I'm really happy that she'll be home. So I'm hoping in January because she said, I'm already making my list.
Good.
Wait until she gets home.
Wow.
So we've talked about it. I send her videos
Good.
here and there. And when
Well,
she opportunity, she looks at them.
Well, and that's a great point, is that finding that one person that is willing to do this with you
7
for,
years.
yeah, you've been looking for 7 years. So for me, it was Hal. Like one of the
Yeah.
reasons that, I fell in love with him just because he was like, what do we need to do to get you to Diamond? Like that was the first question he asked me. And I was like,
Good question.
wow, it won my heart. But I think about Susan and Judy.
Yeah.
And I mean, Susan, how much more fun is it to do this with Judy than just by yourself?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it is a lot more fun. I mean, just to have somebody, and I used to have somebody that I could talk to about the business, but yet, that was different. I wasn't really working with her, but yeah, to have somebody you can talk to about the business and host things together. We hosted
Right.
that, an event at Judy's house where we did the Lachey,
Yeah.
focused on Lachey. And that was
Yeah.
a blast. Yeah, I'd be happy to do things like that. Just to get the people in front and do it. It's neat. It's great.
I think it's, for people who've not yet found that person, Debbie, it's the thing I would bait my hook with. I'm looking for a partner.
Yeah.
I'm
And I
looking for
told her
somebody
that.
who's wellness.
Mhm.
And I think you found it with Lucy, but if I can help you just to kind of Zoom strategize and those kind of things, so one of the things I'm doing to support Judy right now is trying to get Luis and Debbie on a call so that we can help strategize and move her to the next level. Um, and her dad was sick today, or we would have done it today. But,
Oh,
once I'm in the loop, I can try to drive the volume below you. And so Judy's job now, she does a great job of supporting Debbie, but Judy's job is to go find another Debbie.
Right.
We're all looking for another Debbie.
Oh, yeah.
Another Debbie Ray, like you guys are 1 in 100, 1 in 1 million, but they're out there. And so the new ABCs of selling is about relationship servant selling.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are all great examples of that. So hopefully that was helpful conversation. As you bait your hook and look for a partner to do this with you. And I would argue that until you have found that person, we used to call that a locker, somebody who sees it and has the tools to run with this, and you start seeing your volume go up and you've not done anything, you are not done yet in this business. We just keep working it. So proud of you guys. Thank you for being on. And we'll see you guys tomorrow night on the Freedom Call, and Saturday. If anyone wants to drive to Arkansas, there's great brunch at Linda Painter's house.
Hey, Lisa,
Yeah.
we were talking about, telling people I'm not a salesman. What I usually say was like, think of it as promoting. Do you promote restaurants that you love? Appliances you love, TVs you love. I said, do you do that with people? And they say, well, yeah. I said, well, that's the same thing. You're promoting something that you enjoy and you want to help other people. And that's what I tell people. So if they don't want to do it after that, that's okay. But
Right.
I try to tell them I'm not a salesman either. I try to find people that need help. And
there you go. That's a great close.
Good point.
Good point. All right, guys. Thank you for showing up tonight. We will see you guys Monday night and Saturday. Lots of love.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.